Let's use formulas to solve problems. When you have a formula, you will be given most of the information, but something will be missing, and so you'll be asked to find the missing value. All we're going to do is, number one, we're going to substitute. We'll substitute everything we know. And the second thing is we're going to simplify or solve. Simplify means that we'll have, like this first one, where all we have to do to find I, which is equal to PRT, is to take our P100 times our 0.12R times our T, which is 2, multiply that together using our calculator, and we get 24. So all we did was simplify. In some cases, for example, if I had 600 equals 200.04 times t, I would have to solve for the t because there's operations going on both sides. And to do that, in this case, I would have 600 equals 8t, and I would divide both sides by 8. Okay, doesn't matter what that answer is because that's not one that we need to do now, but just see the difference between substituting and simplifying or substituting and solving. And we will see one in a few minutes where we actually have to solve. All right, number 2. Find the value of the formula T equals, in parentheses, A plus B times H divided by 3, where we know what A is, 3.23, B is 7.11, and H is 4.6. So we're going to substitute, in parentheses, 3.23 plus 7.11 times 4.6. All of that is divided by 3. Now, in some cases, you can just put things directly into the calculator and get them to work out. But in some cases, you have to put in extra parentheses and things to guide your calculator. So what I recommend is that you go ahead and do some simplification. 3.23 plus 7.11. Let's get this down to something we know that the calculator will do correctly for us. So 10.34 times 4.6 divided by 3. I'm going to go ahead and finish that numerator. 10.34 times 4.6 is 47.564. Divide that by 3. And I get 15.854, and then a lot of repeated digits. So notice that they say round to the nearest whole number. So all I need is that 15.8, which is going to round to 16. Example number 3. Find the value of the formula V equals L times W times H. For L is 16.27, W is 3.6, and H is 2.6. Now this is actually a formula for the volume of a rectangular box. So if we have a box and we want to know how many cubes we could stack inside the box, that's the formula that we're looking at right here. So we're going to get cubic meters. Okay, and we'll do some more of this when we get to our geometry sections. So most of these formulas do have real-world applications. So we're just going to practice finding our volume. Our length is 16.27. I'm going to multiply that times 3.6 and then times 2.6. And I use the parentheses for multiplication. And if you do that, it will help you in many cases. And that's a 2.6 there. This comes out to 152.2872. They've again instructed us to round to the nearest whole number. This time, we'll round down to 152 because the 2 is not large enough for us to round up. Example number 4. P equals V squared divided by R, for V is 25 and R is 5. So we're going to be really careful here and follow our order of operations. So we have V, which is 25 squared, divided by 5. Now it's kind of tempting to go ahead and reduce 5 into 25, but that would be wrong. Order of operations says before we divide, which is what that would be, we need to do the exponent first. So that's 625 divided by 5, which comes up to 125. So P is 125. Now, number 5 is an example of one that we're going to have to solve instead of simplify. The amount of lumber in board feet, given by the abbreviation BF, can be expressed by the formula BF is T times W times L divided by 12. T is the thickness of the board, W is the width of the board, and L is the length. And they ask us what total length of a 1 inch by 4 inch. Look, this is our width and that's our thickness and our width. Thickness and our width. And we want to know for 14 board feet. So look, this time we put the 14 in for BF. We know it's a 1 by 4, but we don't know the length. So I'll put an L there, and in our formula we divide by 12. So this time I have to solve because look, there's numbers on both sides of this formula. So 14 equals 4L divided by 12. And the opposite of dividing by 12 is multiplying by 12. So I'll multiply both sides by 12. That's going to remove the 12 in a denominator. 12 times 14 is 168 equals 4L. And now I solve multiplication by doing division. 168 divided by 4 gives me that I need a total length of 42 feet to get the 14 board feet. Example 6. On a construction site, a winch is used to wind cable onto the drum of a winch. For the first layer of cable, the line pull P of the winch is related to the diameter of the drum by the formula P equals K divided by D, where K is a constant. So look, this time they give us P is 6,300, so that's got to go in on the left. K is what we're trying to find, and they give us a diameter of 4. So this is another one where we're solving instead of simplifying. So I'm going to multiply by 4 because division by 4, the opposite of that is multiply. 4 times 6,300 gives me 25,200 equals K. 25,200. So again, some cases you're simplifying. That's when the variable is already by itself on one side. And some cases you're solving, and that's when there's a variable mixed in with operations and there's a number on the other side. Number 7, find the power used in an electric light bulb. P equals I square R. If the current is I, 0.25 amps, the resistance is R, 160 ohms. P is going to be in watts, so our answer will be in watts. So we're just going to plug in again. This time we don't know the P. We know I, 0.25, has to be squared times R, 160. And again, order of operations says we do the square first. So 0.25 squared, 0.0625. That's times 160. That will give us our watts, which is 10 watts when you do the multiplication. Now we have a formula to convert temperature Celsius to Fahrenheit. Celsius is used in many countries. We don't use it here very often, but under this Celsius, 0 degrees is freezing and 100 degrees is boiling. Well, our system that we use is 32 degrees is freezing, and 212 degrees is boiling. So the formula transforms from one type of temperature system to the other. They gave us a C of 47. Let's see if that's hot or cold in our Fahrenheit system. So the Fahrenheit degrees are going to be equal to 9/5 of that 47, and that's a 47 over 1, and then add 32. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 9 times 47, 423 divided by 5, plus 32. And I'll go ahead and do division next. 423 divided by 5 is 84.6. 84.6 plus 32 is going to be pretty warm. That's 116.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So 116.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be pretty doggone hot.